Good morning, and welcome to CNR News. We are your hosts, Daniel Hancock and Chris Brandon, and this is the news for January 25th, 2017. On Friday, January 20th, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. His inauguration speech promised to transfer power from Washington, D.C. back to the American people. Trump focused on what he called the American carnage, joblessness, drug use, and crime in the inner cities. He promised to return jobs back to the U.S., strengthen America's military, rebuild its roads and bridges, and move people from welfare to work. For more on Trump's inauguration, let's go to our presidential correspondent, Chris Brandon.
President Trump's inauguration was marred by controversy, with the lowest approval rate of any incoming president in decades. Trump's inauguration attached fewer attendees than either of President Obama's. His inauguration parties were boycotted by most A-list celebrities and musicians, many of whom supported Hillary Clinton. Finally, the next day witnessed over 1 million people rally against Trump at the Women's March on Washington. For more about the Women's March, let's go to our protest correspondent, Daniel Hancock.
The Women's March on Washington began as a small rally planned for the day after President Trump's inauguration. It became something much different, a multi-city protest attended by millions of people in cities including New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and Denver. There were marches as far away as Antarctica. And now in sports news, here's Chris Brandon.
The New England Patriots and Atlanta Falcons both dominated their games, with the next being their meeting in the Super Bowl on February 5th. The Patriots last appeared in the Super Bowl in 2015, beating the Seattle Seahawks 28-24. The Falcons will be making only their second Super Bowl appearance, with the first being during the 1998 season, where they lost to the Denver Broncos. Now in CNR News, here's Daniel Hancock.
CNR's women's basketball team stands in first place in the HVIAC conference with a record of 8-5 and a conference record of 3-0. Led by first-year student Darnisha Bryce, Student Athlete of the Month for December, CNR is dominating teams through the HVIC. Their next game is 5 p.m. today against Davis College in CNR's Wellness Center. In men's basketball news, CNR stands at 2-2 in the HVIAC conference with an overall record of 7-10. Led by recent and former HVIAC Players of the Week, Matthew Dean, Hunter Schenkel, and Kobe Telford, the Blue Angels are rapidly improving in their first ever men's season. And that's it for CNR News for January 25th, 2017. Be careful out there. And watch it go up.
Good morning and welcome to CNR News. We are your hosts, Poppy Depp and yours truly, Jack Tisdale, and this is the news for January 25th, 2017. On Friday, January 20th, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. His inauguration speech promised to transfer power from Washington, D.C. back to the American people. Trump focused on what he called the American carnage, such as joblessness, drug use, and crime in inner cities. He promised to return jobs back to the U.S., strengthen America's military, rebuild its roads and bridges, and move people from welfare to work, which is a good idea. For more on Trump's inauguration, let's go to our president correspondent, Jack Tisdale.
President Trump's inauguration was marred by controversy, with the lowest approval rating of any incoming president in decades. Trump's inauguration attracted fewer attendees than either of President Obama's. His inauguration parties were boycotted by most A-list celebrities and musicians, many of whom supported Hillary Clinton. Finally, the next day witnessed over 1 million people rally against Trump at the Women's March on Washington. For more about the Women's Marches, let's go to our protest correspondent, Papa Depp.
The Women's March on Washington began as a small rally planned for the day after President Trump's inauguration. It became something much different, though. A multi-city protest attended by millions of people in cities including New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and Denver. And yes, there were marches as far away as Antarctica. Now, in sports news, the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons both dominated their games, with the next step being the meeting in the Super Bowl on February 5th. The Patriots last appeared in the Super Bowl in 2015, beating the Seattle Seahawks 28-24. The Falcons will be making only their second Super Bowl appearance, with the first being during the 1998 season where they lost to the Denver Broncos. Yes, much of us were young.
In CNR News, CNR's women's basketball team stands in first place in the HVIAC conference with an outstanding record of 8-5 and a conference record of 3-0, led by first-year superstar Darnisha Bryce, student athlete of the month for December. CNR is dominating teams through the HVIAC. Their next game is at 5 p.m. today against Davis College in CNR's Wellness Center. In men's basketball, CNR stands at 2-2 in the HVIAC conference with an overall record of 7-2. Led by recent and former HVIC Player of the Week, Matthew Dean, Hunter Schenkel, and Jack Tisdale, who is not on the teleprompter. The Blue Angels are rapidly improving in their first ever men's season. And that is it for CNR News for January 25th, 2017.
Be careful out there and watch it go up.
Watch it go up.
Good morning and welcome to CNR News. We're our hosts Zoe Lead and
Imani Du Bois.
on Friday, January 20th, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. His inauguration speech promised to transform power from Washington, D.C. back to American people. Trump focused on what he called the American carnage, joblessness, drug use, and crime in inner cities. He promised to return jobs back to U.S., strengthen America's military, rebuild its roads and bridges, and move people from welfare to work. For more on Trump's inauguration, let's go to our presidential correspondent, Imani.
President Trump's inauguration was marred by controversy, with the lowest approval ratings in any incoming president in decades. Trump's inauguration attracted fewer attendees than either of President Obama's. His inauguration parties were boycotted by most A-list celebrities and musicians, many of whom supported Hillary Clinton. Finally, the next day witnessed over 1 million people rally against Trump at the Women's March on Washington. For more about the women's marches, let's go to our protest correspondent, Zoe Lead.
The Women's March on Washington began as a small rally planned for the day after President Trump's inauguration. It became something much different, a multi-city protest attended by millions of people in cities including New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and Denver. There were marches as far as Antarctica.
And now for our sports news. The New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons both dominated their games, with the next step being their meeting in the Super Bowl on February 5th. The Patriots last appeared in the Super Bowl in 2015, beating the Seattle Seahawks 28-24. The Falcons will be making their only second Super Bowl appearance, with the first being during the 1998 season, where they lost to the Denver Broncos.
In CNR news, CNR women's basketball team stands in first place in the HVIAC conference, a record 8-5 conference record 3-0. Led by first-year student Darnisha Bryce, student athlete of the month for December. CNR is dominating teams through the HVICA. Their next game is 5 p.m. today against Davis College in CNR Wellness Center.
In men's basketball, CNR stands 2-2 in the HVIAC conference with an overall record of 7-10, led by recent and former HVIAC Players of the Week, Matthew Dean, Hunter Schenkel, and Kobe Telford. The Blue Angels are rapidly improving in their first ever men's season. And that's it for CNR News for January 25th, 2017. Be careful out there and go up.
Yeah, watch you.
I'm sorry. I fucked up.
Okay, good job. HBI.